Okay, everyone. So if you're seeing this video, you're part of the Butterfly Buds Club. And as well, if you're seeing this video, you are in possession of a very special friend, someone named a Rosy Maple Moth. Now, you should have received a kit, a butterfly kit, that's going to help you raise your Rosy Maple Moth, actually, from a cocoon to an adult who will lay some eggs, which we will then collect and raise into caterpillars, which will also become a cocoon. We're going to explain it all. But first you need to check over your kit to make sure you've got everything that you need to get through the summer. So what you should have gotten in the kit is something like this, a bug bucket for collecting butterflies over the summer and investigating them. You should also have a butterfly net for catching butterflies in the summer. You should have a tiny little maple tree, like this guy here. You should have a plant pot like this, big enough to put your maple tree in. And you should also have a bag of some potting soil like this. Now finally, you should have one of these things, which is actually full of a little bit of sweetgrass to keep our butterfly buds safe, and a little cocoon. And you can actually see the cocoon right there, closest to you. That cocoon is what's going to hatch into a moth, and it's very important. So if you're not ready to get your butterfly kit assembled and ready for your butterfly buddy, this thing right here should go into the fridge, because the fridge will keep them kind of sleepy and dormant until they're ready to hatch into a fully formed butterfly. Okay. When you're ready to put your butterfly kit together, the first thing you're going to do is take your maple tree here, you're going to take your bag of soil and fill up your plant pot. Make a little hole. You're going to squeeze your maple tree so that its roots all come out like that. And you're going to put it in your plant pot just like that. Now, this tiny little maple tree is really important, because this is what you would call a host plant. Now, one of the most important things to know about butterflies and moths is that they don't need food like your cat or your dog do. They need one very specific type of food from one very specific type of plant. For monarch butterflies, that's milkweed plants. For skipper butterflies, those are plants like sweetgrass or salt marsh grasses. And for the type of moth that we're going to be raising, that's maple trees, especially the red maple. Now, this is a really beautiful type of moth that's actually responsible for pollinating a lot of the flowers that we need to eat. So this moth lives off of maple trees. It lays its eggs on maple trees, but it gets little bursts of energy from drinking the juice, the nectar from flowers. That's the flowers of maple trees, but also the flowers of things like squashes and cucumbers and beans, all the kinds of plant that we grow in our gardens. So these guys are really important. They're also really, really beautiful. So once you have your maple tree here all potted up and looking nice, you need to put it in your enclosure. Now, depending on the type of kit you received, you'll either have an enclosure that looks like this, like that, or a nice big tall one like that. Either way, no matter what type of enclosure you have, you're going to take your plant, you're going to put it in the enclosure, and you're going to seal up the plant in there. There you go. And it's okay if the leaves press up against the top of your enclosure, because actually your little butterfly is probably going to eat all of those leaves before too long. Okay, so that's what it looks like in this clamshell enclosure. If you have one of these big tall ones, there should be a little zipper on top. You're going to unzip that. You're going to reach in with your plant like that. And you're going to put it right there and then zip it back up. So these enclosures here are just so that when your butterfly hatches from its cocoon, it doesn't immediately fly away. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason we don't want it to fly away right away. So when your butterfly hatches, it's actually going to look almost exactly like this little happy guy here. So this colorful thing right here is what the moth that hatches out of your cocoon is going to look like. But this is actually its adult form. It looks like this when it's a caterpillar. And this caterpillar here is called a green maple worm, technically. So this green maple worm turns into the cocoons that you guys received as part of your kits. And then in the spring, it hatches into an adult. And the adult actually flies around and lays its eggs on maple trees. So you can see those are the adult's eggs here. And that's the cute little adult right there. So your butterfly is going to hatch into this thing right here with wings. It's going to fly around the enclosure for a bit, and then it's going to lay eggs on your plant. And you need to watch really carefully. You're going to have to check on your butterfly every day to see when it hatches, when it has kind of gotten free of its cocoon and it's flying around happily, when it lays its eggs. And as soon as this little butterfly here lays its eggs, you actually want to open up your enclosure and release it. And those eggs are what we're going to raise, the eggs are the things that we're going to raise into new adults like this. So the eggs are going to hatch in your enclosure. They're going to turn into the caterpillar. And then before the end of the year, those little caterpillars, they're going to turn into new cocoons for next year. And these caterpillars, they're going to eat all the leaves off that tree. Now that's normal. It's totally fine. Your trees are going to recover from that. So the caterpillars are going to eat all of those leaves. They're going to get nice and fat and happy. And then they're going to spin themselves up into little cocoons. And after they do that, the tree will actually grow new leaves. So the trees are kind of adapted to being eaten by this particular type of moth. So that is the Rosy Maple Moth. There's one last step, and I'm going to show you what it is. So before you put your little maple tree in its enclosure, you actually want to take your vial with the cocoon in it, and you want to tap that vial out onto the soil right at the base of your maple tree. Just like that. And maybe some of you can actually see where the cocoon is. It's right there. Right in the little middle there. I'm moving it around with the tip of my finger. So that's what's going to hatch into the adult maple worm, maple moth. And once it's at the base of your tree, that's when you put it inside your enclosure. And then you close it up. Now this enclosure should go someplace dark and pretty warm. You could put it outside, but we don't want it to get too wet too often. So if you have a garage, If you have a barn, someplace like that, or even a part of your porch that's got a roof over it so it's not being rained on, that's a good place to put your developing moth. And because they're moths, as pretty as they look, sometimes you even see these moths flying around in the day, but they really prefer the nighttime. So it's also a really good idea to put these enclosures someplace where it's a little bit dark, you know, like a garage or a barn, someplace where there isn't any light, like the lights inside your house that come on all the time. And that's it. That's all you have to do, except you have to take a look at the manual that your teacher is going to send you along with this video, and you have to check on your moth every day. And we're gonna all meet in an online classroom every Friday from like 9 to 10 in the morning, and we're all gonna talk about not only the things we've noticed about our developing moths, we're gonna talk about any other cool butterflies we have seen or caught over the course of the week. And I would really encourage anyone looking at this video to use their net and their butterfly bucket to go out and see how many different types of butterfly they can find all throughout the season. So start now in the spring, and then we'll keep looking for new and cool butterflies and butterfly eggs all throughout the summer. And we can talk about them, especially if you folks can take pictures and bring them with you into the online classroom. We can share them, and you know, we can kind of talk about the different types of butterfly pollinators that exist in our environment. The last thing I wanted to mention, something else you should have in your kit, are these. Some stickers that say butterfly buds on them. And those are for you to have and put up any place that you want. You can put them up on a notebook that you're using as part of the club. You can put them up on, well, pretty much any place that your parents say that it's okay. You can put these stickers up. Okay, and I think that's it. I hope that was really clear, but if anyone has any questions, they can ask me or they can ask their teacher, and their teachers can get their questions to me. And I hope that everyone is ready to have some fun, because this is going to be really fun. Okay, and I will talk to all of you really soon.